All right, y'all, let's jump right into video number 5, where we're going to be breaking down how you can analyze a wholesale deal in 10 minutes or less. This right here is going to walk you through why it's so important to understand something I always tell people in the Verified Flippers community. If you cannot make an offer within 10 to 15 minutes of talking to a seller, you might as well hang it up. Because anybody that has real motivation, they're not waiting around for you to make your offer. They're talking to multiple people. And so if you've got them on the phone or you're in front of them, always make the offer, even if you feel like it's too low. You never know what someone's willing to take for their house until you make an offer. Now, I also caveat that we're talking more about video 6 that's coming up because it is a staple for being able to find motivation in the conversation, to know when to make an offer and to utilize that motivation to help them arrive at what you need them to arrive at in terms of a price. All right. Now, one of the first things we're going to jump into is speed being more important than perfection. A lot of people get caught up on making a perfect offer or says, I don't want to miss it. They said they had other offers. And the truth of the matter is, y'all, sellers are storytellers. They'll tell you they got all these other offers and all these other people, but it really comes down to you making the best offer. Because if you go under contract with this seller or a seller and you can't sell the property, you just wasted their time, right? You wasted your time. You wasted the buyer's time for running the numbers on it. And I'm saying this because you have to make sure you are sticking to the numbers. And we're going to walk through what all of this means in a second, y'all. Let's jump right in, all right? So, number one, when it comes to making an offer, you need to know the value of the property, okay? The value of the property. Because if someone asks for $100,000 for a house, how do you know it's a good deal? The only way you know that is if you know the property's repair or after repair value, okay? After repair value, the ARV. You'll hear that acronym a lot, but the after repair value is what a home is worth after it's all fixed up. After a house has gotten all the remodeling done to it, after it's all ready to go, what is it worth? Okay, because what do we know? Houses that are all beat up can't be worth the same as a house that's perfectly, or in great shape. And so the after repair value is one of the first things I'm going to show you how to find. Okay, so let's jump right into finding the value of the house in a very simple way. All right, y'all, you got paid ways, you got free ways. I'm going to show you the free way to find a property's value as swiftly as possible. We're going to start out with Zillow. I went to go grab a property that I actually remodeled, okay? This house I remodeled and I actually bought it from my uncle and gave it to my grandma, okay? So it's a closed property. And then I ended up selling the house, moved her to another neighborhood, into another home. But that's a whole long story. But this is the property. So I just grabbed a random address that I'm familiar with. And I want to show you how to find it. So the first thing we do is obviously we go to Zillow, we plug the information in. You're going to go to 50, it says 5112 Oak Cliff Drive, this being the address. You got bed and bath count here, okay? And what we're looking for, y'all, when we're pulling the value of a property is we're looking for a term called comps. And that term is short for comparable sales, which are properties that has sold that's like the property, okay? Comparable is the key word because investors, they're looking for comparable. They want to go apples to apples as much as possible, right? Now, when I say comparable, remember we talked about speed and perfection. Don't worry about finding a 4.3 with 1763 or it's not a comp. You ain't got to get that in depth. We're just going to look for a 2-story house that's comparable in size and that's been remodeled. That's it. That's how you find the after repair value, okay? A house has been remodeled. So the Zestimate, we're going to always ignore the Zestimate. Don't run with the Zestimate, okay? Sellers think this is what the house is worth. It's typically not that. You see the big range, estimated sales, they said 183 to 209. Massive range, okay? So don't worry about that too much. Instead, come on down and look for properties that sold near the house, okay? Now, I say near the house because you want to make sure that it's not too far out, okay? You don't want to go try to pull houses from other neighborhoods, okay? And so here you've got how close the properties are in terms of proximity. And another thing you got is a map. Okay, so every Zillow listing typically has a map. And so what we can do here is we can actually back up and we can kind of look and see what houses are going for around here. Okay, the red represents sold. We're not looking for houses that are listed or rented. We're looking for sold houses that have sold, because that tells us what the houses are worth. Are you with me? So this house here has been sold for 184. Okay. You've got another house. I'm sorry, no. Red represents listed. It's for sale. I apologize. Yellow is our sold comps. Okay. So you got one that went for, 243. Let's back up here. You've got one that went for 243. Let's go back to our map, y'all. Maybe we skipped it again. Here it is. Okay. You've got one that sold for 243, a couple of blocks over. I would want to see, okay, what made this house for sale for 243? Okay. Is this a comp? The answer, y'all, is no, it's not. You know why? Look at the built year. Look at the built year. Let's go back to our subject, which is the property we're running numbers on. Built in. It's not telling us. It's older, though. You go to county, you can find that. But you can even look at it and tell it's not as new, okay? So we're not going to use that as a comp. Let's go back now to our map and let's try to find some actual comps. This house looks like it could be one. This 222 looks like it could be one at 1,800 square feet for sure. I think that looks like a true comp right there. And so the next thing we want to see is how far is it from the actual subject. Okay. But before we do that, going in that deep, let's just dive into the map here. Now again, we saw that 243 one. It's a great looking property, but it's definitely new construction, just built. And look at the sales price of some of these others. They're all going pretty low in comparison to that 243. Got one on the market for 100K. Let's keep scrolling, y'all. Now we do have something right here for 191. Let's see if this is a comp. Boom. Now our square footage is slightly larger than this one, but this is a really strong starting point. Built in 1978. Most of the neighborhood was built in 78, 77. I actually believe our subject was built in 77. Okay. And so I don't want to bore y'all too much. Hopefully you get the idea. You're going to go in, you're going to look for comparable sales by scrolling through Zillow and platforms like this. Okay, let's keep going. Listen, this is a free training. I don't want to bore you too much, but something I do want to emphasize before we move on to the next piece is that comps is super important. Comps can either make or break the deal, because you could be leaving money on the table for the seller, which helps you in the negotiations. Okay, if you miss a comp that could have helped you come up 10,000 in your offer, right, you may or may not be able to get the deal. And that's why having support in a community like the one I built is so key, because you're going to have the people there to help coach you through getting comps correct. All right, let's move on to the next piece. Let's go. All right, y'all, the next important piece is going to be estimating repairs. A lot of people out there are like, Tez, okay, comps, but how do I know how much work a house is going to need? Y'all, it's so important for you to know this, because this is going to be your negotiation piece with the seller. Okay, so you're talking to the seller. They're like, yeah, I want this much for my house. But you can see that the roof is beat up. You can see the floors need work. You can see, that all the comps in the area, the comparable sales, they had granite countertops, but you don't know what they cost to install. So how do you get them down on their asking price? Well, I'm going to give you a basic formula to know how to estimate repairs. So every property is going to have square footage. Okay, you remember our property that we talked about in this video was like 1,400, right? So what you're going to do, if it's a light rehab and it doesn't need a massive amount of work, you're going to take $10 to $15 times the square footage, and that's how much work that property is going to need. Okay, if it's a medium rehab, I'm going to have you go $20 to $30 per square foot. Okay. And if it's a heavy rehab where you feel like we need to strip everything down to the studs, go $40 a square foot. That should be a basic rule of thumb for estimating your repairs when talking to a seller. Okay. Now, the last thing, step 4, is going to be the formula we use to make an offer to a seller. This is high level. Now, I want you to not go to sleep. I want you to write this formula down, mess around with it, get familiar with it, Okay, let's get it. The formula is going to be 70% of the ARV. Okay, remember, our ARV on this other property, let's just say it was 200,000. Okay, the property we pulled earlier. We seen one for 190. We seen some others, right? 200,000. You're gonna multiply that by 70%. So bring out your calculator and do it right now. 200,000 on your screen, multiplied by 70%. Boom. Now you're gonna have the number that places 30% of equity for the investor to have after they pay you and pay for the repairs. Stick with me. The number that you have after multiplying by 70%, you're gonna subtract the repairs from that number. So let's say you landed at 135. I'm really not sure what that number is, but let's say it's 135. Let's say the work the property needs is 35 grand. Subtract that. Now we're at 100. Okay? 100,000. This is what we offer the seller test? No, we still have to add your fee. So let's say you get the seller at 95,000. Okay? You're going to do your first contract with the seller, offer them 95,000 for their house. Then you're going to do another contract with a buyer for 100,000. Okay? 2 contracts. In this scenario, you make $5,000. What happens next? Well, the buyer is going to close on the house and they're going to go put the $35,000 in of the work into it. They're going to be 135 all in. Now they can sell this property for 200,000. You see what I'm saying? So you reverse engineer it, your offer, by starting at the ARV, subtract the repairs, subtract your fee, and that's your offer to the seller. Add your fee back, and that's your contract with the buyer. And that's the way it all goes down. Now, I know I went over a lot in this video, but I don't want you to miss the points here. We're going to get the ARV. We're going to get the repairs. You're going to operate with the formula, and then you're going to make your offer. Okay? This is high level, y'all. High level stuff. People is not giving this away. What I want you to do, if you are liking the content that I'm sharing with you today and you are learning something, please like this video and subscribe. If you like more hands-on training to understand how to navigate through the waters of getting real estate wholesale deals done, and it actually is value, just wait until you get into my community. We help you so much with endless amounts of sales training, support daily, different events, and bonuses and contests and all these things that we do in the community. We'd love to have you a part of it. All you have to do is click the link in the bio and join us. All right. Now look, let's move on to the next video. Can't wait to get started. Let's go.